Hello all, my name is Ben Friedman here from the Beniverse. For those who do not know me, I am a contributing film critic for Highbrow Magazine, and I am a freelance film critic as well. And you know what? I took the opportunity this year, since Sundance is still virtual, I decided I was going to make the trek up to virtual Sundance and see as many films as I could possible. So I bought a few packages. I spent a lot of money on some single tickets. I just decided, I'm like, let's cover Sundance this year. I've always wanted to. How many opportunities am I going to get in my life to cover this? And especially this young into my career. So I decided I'm going to do it. I don't care how much it's going to cost, which I said that. And then I saw the price and I'm like, oh, this is really expensive. I totally see why not a lot of people do it. But ultimately, I am so jazzed to be at Sundance this year, even if it's virtual, for my part. And at this moment, I am scheduled to see 22 movies, and I have another 8 tickets that I haven't even redeemed yet, that I will not be able to redeem until Friday night. I believe it's the 27th. So I'm going to talk about the 22 films that I will be seeing. I will be previewing the films that I'll be seeing, talking about them, the reasons I chose those films and the reasons I am excited for them, and just kind of give some overview about the festival, some news about it. I know the festival has already started. I know a handful of film critics who are already there. They've been seeing a lot of films. Like I said, I am just so ready to do this. I start Tuesday morning, the 24th. It opens 8 a.m. Mountain Time and will close Sunday the 29th, I think at 11:59 p.m., which means 10:59 for California time. Like I said, I am just so ready to do this. So I'm going to talk about the 22 films. Now, I picked no order in it. I just did it alphabetically. So this is not a ranking. It is simply done alphabetically. So we are going to talk about the 22 films, why I chose them, and what I'm excited about them. So the first film is a movie called The Accidental Getaway Driver. And I have the description for each of these movies. The descriptions come straight from Sundance's website. So the description for The Accidental Getaway Driver. Long, a Vietnamese driver in Southern California, answers a late-night call for a ride. Already in his pajamas, he reluctantly accepts picking up a man, Tay, and his 2 companions. But the men, recently escaped convicts from Orange County Jail, take Long hostage at gunpoint, thrusting him into their getaway plan. When complications arise, the fugitives and their hostage hole up at a motel, and a tense waiting game unfolds. So, this is a film that is a first-time feature from Sing Jae Lee. He is the screenwriter for this film as well. This is in the category of U.S. dramatic competition, which, for those who are unaware of the lingo, there are a handful of categories that you can fall under for Sundance. There's U.S. dramatic. There's other ones as world cinema dramatic competition. There's documentary competition. There's midnight, which those are the midnight releases, which are typically horror films. There's all types of these categories. So I'll try explaining them as we go around. But for this one, this is a U.S. dramatic competition. This film is in the languages of Vietnamese and English. It is inspired by a true story. And here's why I chose this film. It is executive producer Barbara Broccoli. She is the producer for the James Bond films. She has done a lot of other stuff. She is out of the UK. She produced films like Till last year. That was enough to just get me intrigued about the film. The premise sounds really interesting with that name attached. And do understand with the executive producers, a lot of these you're going to notice some really famous names. Sometimes they just lend the credibility and they're not really involved in this film. Regardless, with that premise, with the names, with the story, with the Barbara Broccoli produced, it was enough to intrigue me. So I had 10 tickets for international features. I chose The Accidental Getaway Driver as one of my 10. Coming in for my second movie that I'm seeing is, I will struggle to pronounce some of these names, especially some of the international releases. This one is Animalia, which, again, let me read you the premise for this one. Heavily pregnant Ito looks forward to a day of peace and quiet when she gets her affluent household mostly to herself after her husband, Amani, goes away on business. She's quickly lost sight of her modest origins and her adapted to her new family's detached opulence. But when a mysterious state of emergency is declared nationwide, Ito struggles to find help. Meanwhile, increasingly ominous events and strange weather phenomena suggest a supernatural presence is nearing. While frantically searching for a way back home, uh, Ito unexpectedly finds emancipation and the possibility of solace in a new world order. This is directed by Sophia Aluya. She is a previous Sundance winner for a short film that was released in 2020. This is her directorial debut. This is a film coming out of France. The languages are going to be in French and Arabic. It is in the World Cinema Dramatic Competition, which, remember, I had 10 tickets to the World Cinema, so this was my second ticket I used. The reason I chose this film is because it's science fiction. I'm a sucker for science fiction. I think this film premiered already, so I think some people have gone to see it, and they were pretty excited about this. So when I got the opportunity a few weeks ago to select the tickets, I'm like, you know what? Science fiction movie, I'm in. So I chose Amalia, again, sorry about the pronunciation, as my number 2 film for the festival. Next one is, let's go over to some of the U.S. releases. This will be in the U.S. Dramatic Competition. This is called All Dirt Roads Taste of Salt. Reason I have heard about this film is this is being released by A24, and it is backed by Barry Jenkins, who is one of the producers. Barry Jenkins, who has done such films as Moonlight, and will be actually directing the upcoming Mufasa Lion King live-action film. He's also done, If Beale Street Could Talk. He is a very beloved indie filmmaker. This is first-time director Raven Jackson by a screenplay by her. This is going to be starring Moses Ingram is one of the key cast members. Moses Ingram, she was in Obi-Wan Kenobi as Reva, and this also stars Moss Famous. And let me read the description. Tender caress and enveloping embraces are portals into the life of Mac, a black woman in Mississippi. Winding through the anticipation, love, and heartbreak she experiences from childhood to adulthood, the expressionist journey is an ode to connection with loved ones and with place. Not a particularly detailed description. I will admit this isn't a film that necessarily strongly appealed to me when you read a description like that. But you got the talent of Barry Jenkins producing it, the fact that it is one of the big premiere titles out of Sundance this year, the fact that it was streaming this year at the online Sundance. That was enough to sell me. Barry Jenkins, A24. You got to give them the credibility that they deserve, and I was excited to see this film. So that's why All Dirt Roads Taste of Salt. This is one of the ones where I bought an individual online screener for. Number 4, this was another film that will be in the World Cinema Dramatic Competition. So this was my 3rd film that I bought with my 10 ticket pass for international features. This is called Bad Behavior. It stars Jennifer Connelly, Ben Whishaw, and Alice Englert. This is described as a dark comedy thriller by director Alice Englert. This is her feature debut as a director. It is a country of origins of New Zealand, which has brought us directors such as Jane Campion. So I've been hearing some comparisons in Alice Englert's style to Jane Campion. Again, this has been a very flashy release out of Sundance this year. It premiered last night for me, which I'm recording this on the 22nd. So it premiered Saturday, I believe, one of the first films to premiere at Sundance. And Bad Behavior follows Lucy, a former child actress who makes a pilgrimage to join her guru, Elon, for a silent retreat at a beautiful mountain resort. Before she shuts off her phone to the world, Lucy reaches out to her daughter, a stunt person training for a dangerous fight scene, to interrupt her concentration and announce that she will be unavailable and out of range, and she is very worried about her and that she may extend her stay. When a young model / DJ / influencer at the retreat is paired up with Lucy to do the mother-daughter role playing exercise, Hellfire strokes Lucy's bad behavior to an astonishing low. I've heard this film is deeply uncomfortable. I've heard it is very divisive. I've heard some people are loving it. Some people are not in with the comedy and tone of this film. I like Jennifer Connelly. I like Ben Whishaw. This sounds like a film that could really be up my style. So I was pretty jazzed when I heard that this was a film that I'd be able to see. So that's why Bad Behavior is another film that I'll be seeing using my World International pass. Speaking of films that premiered yesterday at Sundance, and divisive. This one's been very divisive. This is a film called Cat Person, which is based on the most read piece of fiction published by the New Yorker by Christian Ropentinian. The title of her piece is Cat Person. It is an exploration of modern dating. It is director Susanna Fogel, who is the co-writer of Booksmart. That was enough to already get me intrigued in the film and probably be buying it fast. But it is also has a cast of Emilia Jones from Coda, another big thing for me, and Nicholas Braun from Succession. It is executive produced by Elizabeth Banks. And the premise is Margaret, a college student working concessions at an art house theater, meets frequent filmgoer and rather older local Robert on the job. Flirtation across the counter evolves into continuous texting. As the two inch toward romance shifts between them, awkward moments, red flags, and discomforts pile up. Margaret feels both attached and reticent as her gnawing hesitations blossom into vivid daydreams where Robert realizes his most threatening potential. As her distrust and uncomfortability mount, an evening, their relationship and possibly their lives unravel. Let me read that last sentence again because I fumbled there a few times. As her distrust and uncertainty mount, an evening, their relationship and possibility, their lives unravel. It's actually a poorly written sentence on Sundance's part. I like Coda a lot. It was the big hit out of Sundance a few years ago. I like Susanna Fogel for co-writing Booksmart, one of my favorite films. I like Nicholas Braun. This just sounds like a movie I'm all in on. I almost chose to read the New Yorker article that it was based on, but based on how crazy I've heard it is, I just wanted to just be washed by this film. I'm going to be seeing it in less than 48 hours. I'm like, let's just save it. I'll see this film. I'll be excited for that. But that is why Cat Person is coming in on this list. Again, another one that I bought an individual ticket to online. The next film that I'll be seeing is a movie called Divinity. And this is set in an otherworldly human existence. Scientist Sterling Pierce dedicated his life to the quest for immorality. Jesus Christ, I'm so sorry. Sterling Pierce dedicated his life to the quest for immortality, slowly creating the building blocks of a groundbreaking serum named Divinity. Jackson Pierce, his son, now controls and manufactures his father's once benevolent dream. Society on the barren planet has become entirely perverted by the supremacy of the drug, whose true origins are shrouded in mystery. Two mysterious brothers arrive with a plan to abduct the Mongol, and with the help of a seductive woman named Nikita, they will be set on a path hurtling towards true immortality. This film was a title that I had no idea what to expect. But you know what? The cast was so interesting. This features Stephen Dorff and Bella Thorne. It is executively produced by Steven Soderbergh. It is a sci-fi horror. I believe this is premiering at one of the midnight screenings by producer and director and writer Eddie Alcazar, who had a film premiered at Sundance in 2016 entitled, and apologies for the language, but it's the title of the film, Fuck You. This was just enough to get me in. This is such the images that I saw from this film were disturbing. So I'm like, you know what? I gotta go. I gotta check this film out. This could be one of those just great midnight horror films. This could really it felt exciting. And it was a film that I'm like, oh, this feels weird, unnatural, and just creepy. I'm like, I'm into this premise. I like this idea. I'm into this cast. Let's see what happens. So that's why Divinity was another ticket I picked up. The next film, which was, if I'm correct, yes, this is another film that I got for my World International Pass. It is called Eight Mountains. It is one of the spotlight features for Sundance, which is different. This is like films that Sundance is spotlighting thus the name. It is directors Felix van Grogenheim and Charlotte Vandermisch. They directed the film A Beautiful Boy, which was the Steve Carell, Timothée Chalamet movie from 2018, and is based on the book by Paolo Cognetti. It is an Italian film, and you know the Italians make interesting stuff. Eight Mountains is about Pietro, a city boy who visits the tiny mountain village of Grana with his mother. One summer meets a local herder boy, Bruno. Both 11 years old, they become friends over ensuing summer trips. Years later, Pietro's father dies, leaving him a remote plot of land high on the mountain. He reunites with Bruno to rebuild a collapsed house there, rekindling his connection to the mountains and his friendship with Bruno, which continues as they navigate life, dreams, and relationships. This was enough to get me intrigued. Beautiful Boy directors, Italian, grass, mountains, I'm like, all right, you got me. This movie did premiere. People have been raving about this movie long before Sundance. Opportunity to see it. I took that opportunity. I take every shot I can. That's why Eight Mountains is on this list as well. This next movie might be one of the movies I'm most excited for, and one that I'm so glad that I got the individual ticket for. I did not want to take any chances with this movie. It is an erotic psychological thriller. It is a U.S. dramatic competition this year. It is executive produced by Ryan Johnson. It is currently in a huge bidding war between companies such as Netflix, Searchlight, Neon. They are all getting in on the action of this movie. It is a featured debut of Chloe Doman, and it stars Alden Ehrenreich, Han Solo himself, young Han Solo. It is called Fair Play. Hot off the heels of their new engagement, thriving New York couple Emily, played by Phoebe Dynevor, and Luke, Alden Ehrenreich, can't get enough of each other. When a coveted promotions at a cutthroat financial firm arises, supportive exchanges between the lovers begin to sour into something more sinister. As the power dynamics irrevocably shift in the relationship, Luke and Emily must face the true price of success and the unnerving limits of ambition. This film has been heavily acclaimed out of Sundance. Like I said, this has been one of the biggest films being bidded at this year's festival. You are sure that this film is going to get a release from one of the major indie studios, or it's going to get picked up by a streaming service. People want this movie. You'll probably, by the time you hear this video Tuesday, you will know where this movie is lying. But Alden Ehrenreich, psychological thriller, this cast, this crew, this premise, erotic thriller. I'm all in. I'm all in on this movie. I'm ready to see this movie. I've been so ready for a while now. That's why Fair Play was another one I bought a single ticket for. This next movie is not actually one that I'm seeing at the festival, but I'm kind of counting it because it is premiering at the festival. It is going to be one of the midnight releases. It's then going to release in the United States that Friday, so I'll make sure to go see it before I do my full Sundance recap. It is the film Infinity Pool. You know why I chose this? It's a horror film that stars Mia Goth and Alexander Skarsgård. Enough for me. Alexander Skarsgård made The Northman. Mia Goth made Pearl and X last year. That was enough to sell me. If I needed anything more, it's directed by Brandon Cronenberg. You know, the son of David Cronenberg. And Brandon is not just one of those Nepo kids. He's already directed films such as Antiviral and Possessor. This is one of the films premiering for midnight. It is described as a horror science fiction with a little bit of comedy in there, as a lot of Cronenberg's style films are. Here's the premise. Guided by a seductive and mysterious woman, a couple on vacation ventures outside the resort grounds and find themselves in a culture filled with violence, hedonism, and untold horror. A tragic accident soon leaves them facing a zero-tolerance policy for crime. Either you'll be executed, or if you're rich enough to afford it, you can watch yourself die instead. Don't know how I feel about the premise. Know how I feel about the actors. Know how I feel about the name Cronenberg. In. We'll be seeing Infinity Pool along with the rest of these films at the Sundance Festival. So is this one technically a cheat because it is not going to be online? Yes, but I'll be seeing it at the same time as seeing all these others, and it will be premiering at Sundance, so I'm going to count it anyway. Coming in for my next film is Joyland, a film that I really didn't have any plans on seeing. Then I started seeing news about it. It is Pakistan's Oscar entry this year. In France, the film has grossed $1 million at the box office, which is a Pakistani record. This is one of the films that Sundance is again spotlighting. It is directed by Sam Sadiq, and it follows Haidar. Haidar rushes his sister-in-law to the hospital where she gives birth to a girl, devastating the extended family's desperate for a baby boy. The brother's elderly father is still hopeful Hadir and his wife Montez, despite their unorthodox relationship, will bring them their much-desired male heir. Everything changes, though, when Haidar takes a job as a backup dancer at an erotic theater and falls in love with its beautiful transgender star, Biba. This is a film I hadn't heard about, but the fact that it is one of Pakistani's releases and hopefuls for the Academy Award nominations for Best International Picture, me trying to make sure that I'm up to date on all of those, the fact that I had 10 passes for international, the fact that I always want to spotlight films that are not just American releases and not just British or just the big ones. I'm like, I want to give some love to some of the other smaller indie films from different countries. This one is not one, again, that I typically go out of my way to see, but the fact that I had it and I want to spotlight and I want to celebrate films with diverse casts, stuff like that, I did support this film and I will be seeing Joyland. Very interested to see this one. This next film might be my most excited for the festival. I'll be real. This is one that when I saw that this was online, I'm like, I'm in. I'm buying it. I'm not going to see if it wins one of the awards and use it with one of my award pass. I'm buying this ticket because I need to see this film ASAP. It's called Magazine Dreams, and it stars Jonathan Majors. Jonathan Majors is going to be the biggest actor by the end of 2023. In 1 month span, he will be in Magazine Dreams and followed it up with Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania, and then followed it up with Creed 3. Huge run. Huge run. I'm excited for this film. This is going to follow Jonathan Majors playing Killian Maddox, who lives with his ailing veteran grandfather, obsessively working out between court-mandated therapy appointments and part-time shifts at a grocery store where he harbors a crush on a friendly cashier. Though Killian struggles to read social cues and maintain control of his volatile temper, amplify his sense of disconnection amid a hostile world, nothing deters him from his fiery, protected dream of bodybuilding superstardom. Not even the doctors who warn him he's causing permanent damage to his body with his quest. This is a guy that is basically, it sounds like taking steroids and screwing up his body. This is being described as Taxi Driver, Joker, early Scorsese's crime thriller, socially awkward guy doing terrible stuff. Jonathan Majors is a powerhouse. This film has been getting very good reviews out of Sundance. Premiered last night. There was some contention with it because it didn't have closed captioning, and one of the Sundance jury, one of the juries was Marlee Matlin, who's of course deaf. So there was a lot of contention with that level of the film. But regardless, I cannot get over how excited for this film I am. If Fair Play is my number 2 film, Magazine Dreams is my number 1. Jonathan Majors, so excited to be seeing this. This will be one of the films I'm seeing opening day for the festival. I cannot wait for this. This is directed and written by Elijah Bynum, who did the film Hot Summer Nights, which stars Timothée Chalamet. It is one of the U.S. dramatic competition. And again, Jonathan Majors, that's all I needed to sell me on this movie. The next movie I am seeing is also in the packet that I got for the World Cinema Pass. This is a World Cinema dramatic competition. Writer-director Patricia Ortega. It is Spanish. It is from the country Spain. It is called Mama Cruz. Devotedly religious Cruz leads a routine existence with her husband and precarious granddaughter Vicky, while her daughter Carlotta chases her dreams of becoming a professional dancer in Vienna. A single errant click while attempting to navigate the internet momentarily exposes Cruz to online pornography. She's mortified but suddenly reminded of her own desires. Initially unsure where to aim her newly rediscovered sensuality, Cruz fruitlessly looks to her beloved church and befuddled husband for satisfaction before finding solace in a woman's sex therapy group and beginning a tentative journey towards self-love. Again, not going to necessarily say this is my genre of film. Want to support films like this. I I'm just interested in this premise alone. This sounds like it could be an interesting film, and honestly, the real reason was because I needed 10 films for the past, and I was looking at them, and this one had enough early buzz, and people seemed to be talking about it, that I'm like, you know what? I'm going to take the chance. I'm going to roll the dice on this movie as my 10th and final slot for this pass when I was originally selecting the ticket. So that's how it got in. Coming in for next was another World Cinema Dramatic Competition. It is called Mami Wata. It is an experimental action film directed by C.J. Obasi, who also wrote it. It is out of Nigeria. The language is West African Pidgin. And the film follows in the oceanside village of Lai. The revenue Mama F acts as an intermittently between the days and the all-powerful water deity Mama Wata. But when a young boy is lost to a virus, Efe's devoted daughter Zinwe and skeptical protege Priscilla warns Efe about unrest amongst the villagers. With the sudden arrival of a mysterious rebel deserter named Jasper, a conflict erupts, leading to a violent clash of ideologies and a crisis of faith for the people of Lai. This is a film that I saw pictures for. I believe this film is all in black and white. It absolutely looks stunning. I've heard, based on it, that it is a pretty heavy action film style of it. I was sold on this movie, so I decided let's take the chance with this movie as well. The next film that I have is a movie called Other People's Children, which is a French film. It is writer-director Rebecca Zlotowski. It is her fifth feature film. It is another film that that is Sundance's spotlighting, excuse me. This film I know has premiered. I know people have really liked this film. And this film follows Rachel, who is a happy 40-year-oldish. Let me reread that. Rachel is a happy 40-ish years old school teacher who loves her life, her friends, her jobs, and even her exes. She is exploring the ideas of having children, but is not desperate to have one. When Rachel meets a charming divorcee, Allie, she falls not just for him, but also for a little girl, Lilia. When things progress quickly in the new family dynamic, Rachel has to wrestle with some complicated feelings around maternal longing and the fear of missing out on what she describes as the collective experience of motherhood. Rebecca Zlotowski is a very popular director in the indie community. This is her fifth feature film. People have been very excited for it. I saw that this was available in the international pass. I'm like, you know what? Sounds good to me. Bought the ticket. This next one is one that I'm actually very excited for. This is another of those I'm really anticipating. It's another horror film. It's another midnight release. It is an international horror film directed by Dana Reed, who has directed a handful of episodes of The Handmaid's Tales and is also behind the show Shining Girls, which is on Apple TV. It is out of Australia. It is being picked up by XYZ Films, which is the studio that has put out such films as Raid and The Raid 2. They typically are a body that is interested, a studio that is interested in international releases that are genre, thus The Raid being an action, this being horror. And this film follows fertility doctor Sarah begins her beloved daughter. Let me restart that one again. Apologies. Sometimes you just reading. Fertility doctor Sarah begins her beloved daughter Mia's 7th birthday expecting nothing amiss. But as an ominous wind swirls in, Sarah's carefully controlled world begins to alter. Mia begins behaving oddly, and a rabbit appears outside their front door. A mysterious birthday gift that delights Mia but seems deeply disconcert Sarah. As days pass, Mia begins increasingly not herself, demanding to see Sarah's long-estranged hospitalized mother, and fraying Sarah's nerves as the child's bizarre tantrums begin to point her towards Sarah's own dark history. As a ghost from her past re-enters Sarah's life, she struggles to cling to her distant young daughter. Sold. Horror film, midnight release. This premise, sold. I also got really lucky with this film because this is being released by Australia. It's one of those English releases, but technically is in the world cinema category. I'm all in on this. Horror film, give it to me. Next film I've had is a film that I've actually grown very excited for because I've heard some really great stuff about it. It's also in the World Cinema Dramatic Competition. It is a dramedy and is called Scrapper. which is written by Charlotte Reagan and is executive produced by Michael Fassbender. The cast includes Harris Dickinson, who recently just starred in the film Triangle of Sadness. And this film follows, following her mother's death, a resourceful 12-year-old girl, Georgie, continues to live alone in their London outskirts flat. She makes money stealing bikes with her friend Ollie and keeps the social workers off her back by pretending to live with an uncle. It works like a charm until Jason, played by Harrison Dickinson, shows up. Apparently, he's her father, so long estranged that she doesn't even recognize him. Sizing him up as a rubbish dad, Georgie wonders why he's suddenly taken an interest, especially when she's doing just fine on her own. Thank you very much, as Sundance describes. Harris Dickinson, this is a BBC film, BFI produced. Good enough premise, coming-of-age films. I'm a sucker for this. I liked Harris Dickinson in Triangle of Sadness. Enough to sell me on the premise. That's why I chose it. It really was the Harris Dickinson, Michael Fassbender names behind it with a good premise. I was all in. This next film that I'll be talking about is a U.S. dramatic competition. Another film that I'm actually very excited for. This is, again, probably in the top 5 that I'm most excited for. It is directed and produced by Randall Park, Asian Jim himself. This is screenwriter Adrian Toming, who based this work on his own acclaimed graphic novel. It has a cast of Jacob Batalon, who plays Ned in the Spider-Man films with Tom Holland, and Timothy Simons. It is called Shortcomings. Let me read you this premise, and let me see if you can tell why this is one of my most excited films I'm most excited for. Shortcomings follows a person named Ben, a struggling filmmaker who lives in Berkeley, California, with his girlfriend Miko, who works for a local Asian American film festival. When he's not managing an art house movie theater as his day job, Ben spends his time obsessing over unavailable blonde women, watching Criterion Collection DVDs, and eating in diners with his best friend, Alice, a queer grad student with a serial dating habit. When Miko moves to New York for an internship, Ben is left to his own devices and begins to explore what he thinks he might want. So, I wonder why a movie about a guy named Ben who loves Criterion and DVDs, I wonder why someone like me would be really intrigued in watching this movie. Yeah, no, this sounds really great. I like Randall Park a lot. It is a comedy. It sounds like it's a little bit of a romance. It's not coming of age, but maybe it is coming of age. Maybe it's overcoming youthful ambitions and growing up. This sounds like a film for me. I mean, literally in the description, let's just look at the words that intrigue me. Ben, filmmaker, California, film festival, Criterion Collection, DVDs, blonde women, diners, internships. These are all things I did in my life. Jacob Batalon, Spider-Man Homecoming himself. I'm so in on this movie. I'm very excited for this movie. I think I might relate to this movie maybe a bit too much. The next film I have is one of the few documentaries that I'm seeing at this year's festival. It is called Smoke Sauna Sisterhood. It is a World Cinema Documentary Competition directed by Anna Hintz. It is from Estonia. It is in the language of Estonian. It is tucked in a lush green forest in southern Estonia. In southern Estonia, a group of women gather in the safe darkness of a smoke sauna to share their innermost thoughts and secrets. Enveloped by warm, dense heat, they all bear to expel fears and shame trapped in their bodies and regain their strength. Interesting enough premise. The premise itself, the fact that it's been released in other places, just the lush cinematography of it all, just this idea just sounded intriguing to me, and it sounded very touching and sweet as a documentary. I decided, I'm like, you know what? I need a few more documentaries that I'm going to see at the festival. What's going to Sundance without seeing a few documentaries? That's why Smoke Sauna Sisterhood was one of the ones I decided to see. The next film that I decided to see is called Sometimes I Think About Dying. This is a U.S. dramatic competition. It is directed by Rachel Lambert, and it stars Daisy Ridley, Rey from Star Wars herself. And it is lost on the dreary Oregon coast. Fran wastes her daylight hours in the solitude of a cubicle listening to the constant hum of Office Mate, occasionally daydreaming to the pass of time. She is ghosting through life, unable to pop her bubble of isolation. And then Robert starts up the company. He is new in town and the dynamics of the office. He is a naturally friendly person who keeps trying to chat with Fran. Though it goes against every fiber of her being, she may have to give this guy a chance. Sole reason I picked this, the sole reason I got a single individual pass for this film was Daisy Ridley. I just want to see what she has as an actress and see if she can really make a career out of herself. Film has been getting mixed reviews, but I'm still excited. We'll see how I feel about it. I will be seeing this at Sundance as well. The next film, this is one that it was solely one name, intrigued me so much that I'm like, this is one I'm buying a ticket for individually. I really want to see this. It is called The Starling Girl, U.S. Dramatic Competition. This is a film that is by first-time feature film director, writer Laurel Parment. It is a principal cast of Elijah Shalin and key one, this is what sold me, Lewis Pullman. It is a coming-of-age drama. 17-year-old Jen Starling struggles to define her place within her fundamentalist Christian community in rural Kentucky. Even her greatest joy, the church dance group, is tempered by worry about the love of dance is actually sinful, and she's caught between a burgeoning awareness of her own sexuality and an instinctive resistance to her mother's insistence that the time has come to begin courting. She finds respite from her confessions in the encouragement of her youth pastor, Owen, who is likewise drawn to the blossoming Jen's attention. Lewis Pullman playing this role, coming off Top Gun Maverick, sold. Loved Lewis Pullman in Top Gun Maverick. I think this guy's the real goods. I really wanted to see this movie. Lewis Pullman was the reason I bought the ticket. This next film, I'm also very curious about this film because it is a film that is it is a U.S. dramatic competition release. It has a cast that includes Molly Gordon, Ben Platt, and Amy Sedaris. Amy Sedaris, the repair of the pod racers and all that in Mandalorian and Book of Boba Fett. Forgot her exact name in that show, but she's the mechanic in that show. It is a comedy directed by Molly Gordon and Mike Lieberman. Gordon is an actress who's been in shows such as Winning Time, You People, Shiva Baby, and Booksmart. It is screenwriters Noah Flavin, Molly Gordon, Nick Lieberman, and Ben Platt. This is it is actually produced by Will Ferrell, and it's called Theater Camp. This is probably going to be the big comedy out of Sundance. As summer rolls around, kids are gathering from it all over to attend a scrappy theater camp in upstate New York that's a haven for budding performers. After its indomitable founder, Joanne, played by Amy Sedaris, falls into a coma, her clueless crypto bro son, Troy, is tasked with keeping the thespian paradise running. With financial ruin looming, Troy must join forces with Amos, played by Ben Platt, Rebecca, played by Molly Gordon, and their band of eccentric teachers to come up with a solution before the curtain rises on opening night. Again, I've heard this is going to be the comedy out of Sundance. With this cast, produced by Will Ferrell, how can you not be excited for it? Bought the ticket for it immediately. Last film that I know I will be seeing for sure is called 20 Days in Mariupol. It is a world cinema documentary competition. It is done by Ukrainian war correspondent and novelist Myskola Chernov. It is, of course, Ukrainian. It is a documentary about the Ukraine invasion. And it is on the eve of Russia's invasion of Ukraine. A team of Ukrainian journalists enter the strategic eastport city of Mariupol. During the subsequent siege and assault, as bombs fall, inhabitants flee, and access to electricity, food, water, and medicine are severed, the team, the only international journalists left, struggled to cover the war's atrocities and to transmit the footage out. Eventually surrounded by Russian soldiers, they sheltered in a hospital, unsure of how they will escape. Premise alone just gave me goosebumps. Like, there's literally goosebumps running all down my leg. I've heard this is footage you can't even believe is real. This is supposed to be one of the most horrifying documentaries. These are actual heroes. These are war correspondents who put their lives at risk to make sure that Putin's atrocities and Russia's aggression was known to the world. This is going to be powerful. You can just tell. There's some times where you can just tell when a movie is going to be good and when a documentary is going to be fascinating and when you're just going to be just so lost in this movie and just horrified by it and just, it's going to be such an experience. And that was 20 Days in Mariupol. I mean, what these people went through. Like, I was reading a little bit about Chernov's, what he, basically some of the trials and tribulations they went to while covering in Ukraine. It's harrowing. I mean, just absolutely horrifying. This is going to be something special. I can just tell. I can just tell this film is going to be something pretty incredible to watch. And that's why 20 Days in Mariupol is the last ticket that I got confirmed. Now, I'm also seeing a few other films. I have the pass for short films. So I have few movies for short films, such as A Folded Ocean, Pipes, Ricky. You can read more about those. I don't remember exactly why I selected them, but I just know I have those tickets ready to go. I also mentioned how I got the award winners package online, with means I have 8 total tickets, 4 per day online. The dates valid for these tickets are January 28th and 29th, which is the weekend. International access, no, but what's included is 8 tickets to online award winner screeners on Saturday, January 28th and 29th, 4 screenings per day, early access to ticket selections after winners are announced on Friday, January 27th, before general public single film ticket sales, 2 full days of online Explorers Pass benefits, which is short film, including short film programs and indie episodic screenings. So I have 8 more films I'm going to see. Now, I may end up selling some of these 8 tickets to recoup some costs if they're films that I've already seen, or doubling it, or maybe if they're films that I really want to see, I'll end up seeing them twice. Unsure exactly. I'm hoping there's a few films that I didn't end up selecting that I end up just getting. I've heard Kim's Video is a movie out of Sundance that people are really raving about that I do want to see. So that's kind of just my overview of Sundance. So post the festival, I am going to have a lot of reviews coming out. I have 22 films. I'll ultimately see probably about 30. I'm going to try reviewing all 30 films. I might do it in some masses. I might do some individual reviews. I'll have some of them. I know I'm publishing an article for Highbrow Magazine. I'll probably put some on the Beniverse website as well. There's a lot coming, and I just wanted to let you know that with that, a lot of the recordings, a lot of my social media presence, a lot of my YouTube videos, they're pre-recorded. Post the event, I'll be doing much more videos for this Friday show, which is, I guess, the 26th, 27th, whatever it is, Friday the 26th, I think. I maybe will be able to jump on and just give a few reviews for some of the films that I've seen at Sundance already. Maybe just spend like 30 minutes real quick and then just jump out. Or I'll have something pre-recorded. I have yet to decide. But basically just know there's a lot of films coming out and a lot of reviews. And I'm so excited for this week upcoming. So anyway, I just want to take a moment. Thank you all for allowing me to get into a position where I could realistically cover Sundance. It's so cool that I get to be a press for Sundance, that a magazine is actually willing to not sponsor me, but at least pay me to cover some films at Sundance. I'm so excited for that. I'm so excited that I was then able to just take that idea and then just run with it and be like, well, I'm going to see everything then, even if the cost won't be covered. I'm just so excited for that. So thank you all for making this a reality. My name is Ben Friedman here from the Beniverse. I'll be at Sundance all week. Thank you all so much for watching. Take care. Bye-bye.